Welcome to Electric Evolution with Liz Allan. This podcast is about the journey to a more sustainable future in order for us to be able to do our bit to achieve net zero. I'll be discussing a variety of topics with experts in their field in order to educate and increase our knowledge of clean energy, electric vehicles and the electric vehicle infrastructure. So whether you're an individual wanting to make a difference at home, a small business or a corporate, this podcast is just for you. I've got Kate Tyrell from ChargeSafe on. Kate, thank you. I've said to you I'm going to fangirl on you now because I'm so excited to have you on here. It's absolutely lovely to meet you properly. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for inviting me.
So we've had quite a long chat before we started recording, which is absolutely fine by me because, you know, we know each other a lot better now, don't we? But I'm going to start by saying congratulations on getting on the Green Fleet GF Top 100 last week. What? What fantastic news!
Honestly, like I was gobsmacked. I mean, I've come in at 94, so I think there's loads of room for improvement next year. But just to be, I think, seen amongst the top 100 people, there are so many people in the industry who are highly influential and probably loads that should have been on the list that were missed, but it is also the Green Fleet 100. So it's just to remember, I guess, for those who might have been hoping to get on the list, that it's a fleet recognition. And obviously what we do at ChargeSafe does benefit and influences fleets. So I feel very jammy to be on it, but I'm absolutely yeah.
You're not jammy at all. It's because, as they say in the L'Oreal adverts, it's because you're worth it. But that's not really good accent at all there, is it? I can't do a Yorkshire American accent. But no, it's fantastic. It was great watching it, honestly, and just kind of seeing everybody's names pop up. And I have to say, I did squeal rather loudly when it got to number one with Graham.
Wasn't that so deserved? I mean,
oh
what
my God.
Honestly,
Graham
but
Cooper.
He is super influential, and I think what a lot of people don't realise is ChargeSafe wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Graham Cooper. So that just shows the scale of his influence. You know, like I was sat next to him at lunch in Glasgow at COP, and I said to him, Graham, me and my partner, we've had this idea for how we're going to improve safety and accessibility, and he was like, that's brilliant. And his almost like endorsement or acknowledgement that this was a great idea was the thing that made us go, we should be taking this seriously. Graham Cooper thinks it's a good idea. So yeah, massive thanks to Graham for that encouragement. He's
just the nicest person, and just lovely. But you're all influential, you know, influencing the industry, the sector. It's just fantastic. So congratulations. Now let's start off by, for people who don't know what ChargeSafe does, can you explain what ChargeSafe does and how you got into it? How did you, other than the great Graham giving you that kind of the thumbs up, where did it come from? What happened for you to start it?
So, put simply, ChargeSafe is a 5-star rating system designed to make charging safe and accessible for everyone. The reason why ChargeSafe started was as a result of my own personal experience. So I was travelling from Grimsby down to Portsmouth late one night. I'd already been driving for about 7 hours at the time I got to the A3. And had to be redirected away from the main road because of roadworks, which they typically tend to do quite late at night. And my mapping navigational app hadn't recognised that this was happening, so I thought I was 40 minutes from home. I really wasn't. I always had like an excess of 30 miles range left on my journey destination point, so I felt quite comfortable in being redirected until I got a little bit lost. I took a few wrong turns. I ended up going around in circles, and that 30 miles extra range that I would have given myself previously just was diminished. So I was like, okay, I need to charge somewhere just to make sure that I'm going to get home okay. So I brought up ZapMap, had a quick look. I could see that there are quite a few 50 plus kilowatt chargers in the area, and I was in Farnham. So I thought, okay, I'll go to the first one. That'll be fine. It was behind a leisure centre in a car park that was completely empty, bar one car which was stuffed with teenagers. And I'm not ashamed to admit that I was a little bit intimidated by their presence. There was no lighting. I pulled up to the charge point. I've jumped out, realised that there's no contactless payment on it, so I would have to download an application, register my card details, my address, go through all this rigmarole just to initiate a charge and then wait for it in a place that I already felt was a bit shady. I thought, no, it's fine, I've seen on Zap Map there are a few more in the area. So I jumped back in the car, drove around the corner to a local supermarket, and I thought, well, that will be well lit. It's a supermarket, right? So I pull into the car park, all the lights were off because they're super savvy and energy savings and all that jazz. So I realised that the charge point was under a tree in a corner at back end of the dark car park. And I could see that to the right of the charge point there was this little alleyway. Now at this time it's quite dark and I can't see where the alleyway is leading to. I have been back in the daytime to look at this specific location because it was really quite terrifying for me at the time, and realised that it leads to some stairs that are on the main road, so it wasn't quite as horrible looking as it was at the time. But you know, for me, and there it's just coming up to midnight, I'm on my own, it's dark, I'm scared, I want to get home, and I don't feel very welcome. So I jump out of the car, go to plug in, and the charge isn't initiating, it's not working. So then I realise, you know, that I'm stood outside of my unlocked vehicle with my mobile phone and my keys and my debit card in hand, and I'm not facing my vehicle, which is behind me, and because the machine isn't working, more of my attention is pulled inwards to the machine and not to what's going on behind me. So I thought, okay, this is pretty dangerous, this is not a good situation to be in. I jumped back into the car, I've called the network operator helpline, and burst into tears and just ugly cried down the phone to the woman.
Bless you.
I just wanted to get home, and I said, I'm scared, I don't know what to do, why isn't the charge point working? She tried to do a remote reset, that didn't work, and I said, I've got to go, I need to go home. I'm going to find another charge point. So what we did was I drove to the next one. I actually called her back. I called her back the next day just to say I got home okay, because I was really worried that she would have been concerned, because we do, we feel a little bit. So I called them the next day and said, whoever took my phone call last night, can you please just let her know that I got home okay, because I don't want her to worry. But yeah, that wasn't nice. And then I went off to the next one, which was actually at the side of a petrol station. So I thought, petrol station, beautifully lit up forecourt, that's going to be great. And the charge point wasn't working. So
Oh my god.
It's also tucked around the side of the petrol station, away from the lit forecourt, buried behind a fence in a dark corner. So nice one. You couldn't make it up, honestly. No. At this point, I had about 24 miles range. And I can see that the next charge point that's closest to me is at the Winchester Services on the M3, which is about 24 miles away.
Oh, no. So no way.
Yeah, the map is saying this is 24 miles away. My car is saying we've got 24 miles range. And I know as soon as I get onto the motorway, the car is going to change its mind, and that range is just going to plummet very quickly, because when you drive at 17 miles per hour, your range depletes much quicker. So I thought, okay, the only way I'm actually going to be able to make this is by driving very slowly on the hard shoulder with my hazards on to try and make it. So I think I was doing like between 5-10 miles per hour, literally crawling up the hard shoulder at the M3 with my hazards on, praying that a police officer wasn't going to pull me over for dangerous driving, or that somebody a bit more sketchy might have tried to pull over in front of me to prevent me from moving any further. Because, you know, a woman driving on her own 10 miles per hour on hard shoulder is like a beacon for organised crime. It just wasn't fun at all. I was shaking. I had my heating turned off. I had my music turned off. I'm trying not to charge my phone using the car because I just was doing everything I could to preserve that battery. But my phone is also dying at this point. So it was really concerning. And then my partner called me and he said, you know, you should have been home hours ago. I just wanted to make sure everything's okay. And by this time it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so I'm really, really slowly crawling along this hard shoulder. And I explained the situation to him. I was like, look, I've got a couple of percent left on my phone. I'm just about to get into the service station. I don't know where these charge points are. I don't know if I'm going to make it. The car's kicked into turtle mode. Everything is heightened. My anxiety is going all over the place. And I just was freaking out. So he Googled it. It's like, you know, tensions are high. So he Googled the particular service station, Winchester Services, and said, right, okay, there's a grid service right near the front door. This is how you're going to get there. So with that, I was able to arrive at the charger on 0%, but I made it.
Oh my good God.
It literally was like, it's like, yeah. So made it.
I'm feeling stressed as well just listening to it. I was just thinking, oh my good God.
Who wants to be that stressed charging their car? Nobody, you don't need it. So anyway, I plug in, charge, fine. Get home and I jump on Twitter. So at this point, I've been working in the industry for a couple of years. I've built up a solid enough reputation, understand who's who in terms of CPOs, CEOs, and I'm quite comfortable in calling them out on Twitter and being like, what are you going to do about safety for women at charge points? Because it's something that's personally affected me. I want to improve it. And they were always saying the same thing, you know, Kate, we're you know, happy to prioritise this. There's no solid solution out there on the market right now, but as soon as it comes up, we will implement it. So I was like, right, okay. My business partner, James, said, look, instead of moaning about it all the time, why don't we just come up with something that's going to change this? So, you know, hats off to him. ChargeSafe was 100% his idea, and I take all the credit for it. So we realised that actually by creating a competitive environment for the ChargePoint network operators, and kind of, you know, publicly talking about it, it might force them to really consider safety at charge points. And then the idea developed a little bit more. So I'm talking to Graham Cooper, as I mentioned, at COP26, and I said, look, Graham, I want to make things safer for women at charge points. And he said, okay, well, you know, I actually know some men who are like 6-7 foot that have felt unsafe at charge points as well. So maybe for everyone, but also accessibility is coming up as a really serious issue. People with registered disabilities are having problems accessing the charger to use them. Have you thought about factoring that in? So I was like, okay, that sounds good. I will definitely look at that. So we went off and we've done a sizable amount of research into this, and we've spoken to you know, people with registered disabilities, and not just the people who are in wheelchairs. We're talking to people who've got really severe arthritis, people who just suffer from anxiety, people who are colourblind. You know, we're really trying to look at the bigger picture and how inclusive we can possibly make this. Yes. So from that, we spent about 6 months doing some solid research on what makes ChargePoint safe, what makes ChargePoint accessible. When we first started, we decided that we would do an inspection. The inspection would result in a score out of 5 stars that we would publish, and then the CPOs would have to come to us for the information in order to implement improvements to those sites to improve their scores, right? So that's how it started. I had a chat with Ian Johnston, who has been a very long time supporter of what we're doing. He was like, you know what, this is great, and actually we really want Osprey to be a part of this. And he taught me so much about how it's not just ChargePoint network operators that are responsible for this. So we were thinking, it's the network's fault. They're the ones that have to deliver this change. And actually it's the networks, it's the local authorities, it's the landowners, it's the distribution network operators. So the electricity companies that come in and put in the grid connections, that decide where the placement of the charge point is going to go. The landowners who will say, yes, I'm going to give you extra space on that parking space to make sure it's accessible. It's the local authorities granting planning permission quick enough for these things to be able to happen. And the whole convenience model around it typically means that having something that is in the back of a car park without additional space for wheelchairs is normally the cheapest and quickest solution to implement, which is how we've ended up where we are. So it's been a real learning journey. We are today working with ChargePoint network operators such as Osprey, Fastned. We're working with the likes of Motability Operations, who have the UK's largest fleet, 650,000 vehicles. They're looking to support their customers in transitioning to electric in the most seamless way possible. So we are sharing our search results, our inspection scores with them, so that they can steer their clients and customers towards the most accessible charge sites in the UK. We're working with Octopus Energy's app Electric Juice, who are going to be publishing the scores once they've worked out how they want to do that, but they have the information there. And we're also opening to working with people like ZapMap, to Google Maps, Waze. We really just want this score to be available as far and wide as it can be. We're consulting with local authorities about their accessible site designs, and it's gone from strength to strength. So, we're really pleased. And actually today, Liz, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we've been nominated for Fleet News Award for Outstanding Product of the Year, which is really exciting.
Wow.
And that will be revealed.
Oh my god. That's
So
fantastic. And when did you start then?
So we came up with the concept, and the idea of ChargeSafe was born on the 6th of November. Well, it was actually about a week before that. We registered the business on the 6th of November 2021. And here we are, February 23, with clients and contributors out there using the score and doing inspections for us. And it's been a whirlwind, but it's been amazing.
This is just fabulous. No, you kept that to yourself, didn't you, until now? That's fantastic. Wow. Oh my God. This is brilliant. So if we just kind of look at what you're saying about the ChargePoint operators and the council, local authorities and companies who are installing charge points. What are the safety features? I mean, you've just highlighted, it made me shudder just thinking about what you had to actually put up with that day, because I can't actually imagine what that must have felt like at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I would have probably, excuse everybody listening and watching, I would have been bricking it, honestly. Do you know what I mean? I'm not surprised, seriously. But so what does your audit look like, and what are the things that, so obviously, you are suggesting to these organisations how to make improvements. If you've got people, so we know that at the moment we've got local authorities rolling out EV charging, for example, but what do they need to be doing? What do they need to be looking at? What are the safety features that are most important?
So the most important safety features start with security cameras en route to the chargers and over the chargers themselves. This is not just for the driver's safety, but also for the installation of their assets. So I don't know if you're aware of this, Liz, but there are some people running around the country, some very ballsy people, who are cutting cables for the for the value of the copper inside them. Which It's like, why would you take your life into your own hands over a little bit of profit?
Well, there's always somebody that likes to try and, the whole money for old rope kind of thing. But it's not. It's also dangerous and a bit stupid, isn't it? Really,
yeah, it's really not the best idea. Please don't ever plan to do that. you've got these units are worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. They're going into the ground. So what we're saying is, ChargePoint network operators, please protect your assets at the very least, but also protect your customers and just make them feel safer by putting in a security camera. So security camera covering the charge point, security cameras en route to the charge point, and then make that charge point visible. So really having lighting over the charge point is the absolute necessary measure that we look at. So we look at your lighting and we score it from 1 to 5 stars, and a 5-star rating looks like a light directly over the charge point that is extremely bright and easily identifiable at a distance. You'll get 4 stars if it's dim, you'll get 3 stars if there's lighting nearby, you'll get 2 stars if there's lighting off in the distance but still reaches the charge point, and you'll get 1 star if there's no lighting there at all. So this all gets measured out and weighted to produce your final score. But light it up, make it visible, make it simple to use. The payment method is really important. So if it's got the universal contactless payment on it, brilliant, 5 stars, automatically done. If I have to register for an application and give you my mother's maiden name and dog's date of birth, it's not going to score so well. So yeah, or if it's
not
free,
in the morning either.
no, or if it's free, you get 5 stars as well for a free charge. So make them free or make them contactless is my best piece of advice. So yeah, we want to be seen. It needs to be visible. It needs to be protected with security, and we need to know how it works. So my very first public charge experience was very special. And again, I was travelling from Grimsby to Portsmouth, and whoever handed me over my lovely new company car gave it to me with 68% battery on it before I started on my journey, without telling me how to use public chargers. So I was traveling back on this, I think it was like a 300-mile journey, which I definitely wasn't going to make. And I had to stop around the Watford Gap area. And this is Electric Highway Dale's version, before Toddington came and saved us all by purchasing the Electric Highway. And I think I was pulling something like 12 kilowatt hours from it. It took up the last £15 I had on my card, because I'd just gotten a brand new job, by the way, folks, and it was during lockdown, so I was very poor, and I didn't know how to use the charger. I didn't know how I was going to pay for the charger. I didn't know how long I was going to wait for the charger, and it stopped after 45 minutes, and I was like, why is it stopping after 45? So I was on Twitter like, please help. Please help me understand this. And the EV community, I will always say, is just golden. You beautiful, green, sunshiny lot. Saved the day on Twitter, as always, and steered me to help me understand what I needed to do. But I ugly cried that day at that charger because I didn't know what to do. And, being someone new to EV charging, let's just make it super simple. Tell your customers how to use your kit. So as far as ChargePoint network operators are concerned, yes, you do have sway over how easily people can use your kit. You're buying those machines, put universal contactless payment systems on them and put instructions on them so that they can really, really easily understand how they're going to initiate the charge, use the charge, how long they're going to be sat at the charger for, and why. Make sure they're easily maintained. Don't just put it in the ground and then decide that you're never going to answer the call to your customers asking why it's not working.
Does that actually happen?
Oh yeah.
Does
There's
it?
one network in particular have a terrible reputation for neglecting their ChargePoint infrastructure. So yes, ChargePoint network. Look after it. And then with local authorities, what I'm asking the CPOs to do is to have more courage in their conviction. Tell those local authorities you need quicker planning permission. They need to be more accessible. They need to be more inclusive where lighting and security is concerned, and they just need to be more collaborative in the ways that they're working. And those local authorities should also feel a bit of a pinch from ChargeSafe as well. So when we come to publish the scores, we'll also be publishing county performances as well. So those local authorities will have to answer to, why they've been giving permissions for such sites to be allowed to go live, and why they've not been working collaboratively with those landowners and the ChargePoint network operators and the distribution network operators to put in those grid connections and just make them, this is infrastructure for the future. We're really right at the very beginning of our journey. So what we're saying is now is the time to set a standard, to get it right, to look at the way that we're going to do this, and just to make sure that we're consistently delivering on that.
This is just amazing. I'm going to ask you a really simple question. The question that you didn't know when you got in that car from Grimsby that first time. Yeah. Right, this is from somebody who, I said this to you before we started recording. We don't have an EV yet. I've test driven them, but I've not been in that position yet where I had to, I know what I'll do. If I'm not sure, I will Google it, I'll YouTube it, whatever. But I know each CPO, each ChargePoint operator operates, you kind of put it on charge in different ways, but on average, what is it? To me, I'm kind of thinking, it's fuel pump, take the thing, put it in the thing. That's how it works. That's, to me, how simple it is. But tell me, on average, how does it work?
All the machines are different, Liz. So I can't even give
God. So it's not put the thing in the thing then. It's not what they...
I mean, in general, so we were at the Fastned Supercharge Hub at Oxford Park and Ride last week, and there was a driver who pulled up. He just got a Mercedes. He'd literally come to charge it for the very first time, and he had no idea what to do. And I was like, okay, well, how does this machine work? And what we found was that had to be the payment card needs to be tapped first. So they take the pre-authorization, and they know you can pay for it. And then they say, right, okay, select your plug socket. So then you've got to decide, are you CCS? Are you CHAdeMO? Do you know what CCS is? Do you know what CHAdeMO is? Have they got a picture of all the things? So there are different plug sockets that have different layouts. If they don't have the picture, it makes it slightly more ambiguous to understand whether you have a CCS or a CHAdeMO outlet on your car. So then you've got to select the charge point you want to use, and then you've got to plug that in and then wait for it to accept that it's done that. So there's like a handshake that happens between the charger and the car. So those two pieces of equipment need to communicate with each other. That's just one example of the way that charge points work. Other charge points might require you to plug in your car first and then tap to pay. There's just... So what we're saying is please make it obvious how you plug in to charge your car, and by having the little diagram of the CCS versus CHAdeMO, really helpful for first time users. If you were a first time EV chargee and you'd never driven or charged an EV before, how simple would it be to use your kit? That's what we're asking every CPO to consider.
It's basically what I'd call in continuous improvement an idiot's guide. It's an idiot's guide. Simple as that. Simples. Just do that. Give us all an idiot's guide. Thank you very much. Or, as we were just, me and you, so you were on the EV Cafe webinar. And there was somebody in the chat was suggesting to use a QR code. QR code. I mean, obviously you've got to have a signal. Because it's great for you to have a QR code and then not be able to get onto YouTube to see how to do it.
Or a QR code could go through to a document that you download to your phone. Yeah,
absolutely.
It doesn't have to be a YouTube video, though I think a YouTube video would actually be probably one of the simplest ways to do it. And what a fantastic marketing tool for every ChargePoint network operator. This is how you plug into charge. This is what you can do whilst you're there on your journey. Check out our website. You've got this it like, this is your customer sat at your product using your service. Maximize that opportunity to communicate with that customer. And actually, yes, by having a video where you've got someone who's from your company showing them how to plug in and all the lovely features and benefits of using your ChargePoint in your service, like, talk about it. That was a fantastic idea that came up. I can't remember the person.
I can't remember who it was as well. I might have written it down, but I don't know. I just thought, what a fantastic idea, because it's really not difficult. I don't know whether I use a little graphic design tool. I'm not a graphic designer, but we kind of do socials with Full Circle, the company that I run, and we use Canva, and it's actually got a QR creator. I know,
love
Canva's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
So you can actually get the link from your website or wherever the YouTube is, find Canva, create it in a wonderful PDF or lovely document, and chuck it in there, can't you?
So easy. And the thing is, if you're using a QR code somewhere on your machine, but you need to make an update, then you update the website. You don't need to update. So if you're printing stuff and that's going onto the machine or nearby, that's permanently there until someone comes along and peels off a sticker or replaces it with a new one. But actually, if you're using a QR code, the beauty of that is you make the updates digitally. And that's just going to be there and ready when all of your customers need to see that information by using the QR code. So that it makes so much sense to me. Yeah, I love it. Great idea.
Easy, long term, being able to do something like this, it would make a massive difference for somebody like me, who is going to be going on the journey like you.
Very exciting. It is very exciting, but 100%. Definitely do your research and make sure you get to the charge point with plenty of range, so that you can understand how it's going to work. Always 30 to 50 miles range on your journey, destination. So if you're traveling long distance, so for example, you mentioned you're in the Reading area of London. So if you were going to drive over to Wales, for example, if you were to stop, I guess, Cheveley, services around the Oxford area, make sure you've got an extra 30 miles on top of what the distance is from Reading to Cheveley, plus 30, just in case. And then by the time you get there, you know that if you can't work it, or if it doesn't work, or if you feel anxious and you need to go somewhere else, you've still got 30 miles to play with to get to the next charge point. So it reduces stress levels considerably.
Yes, and I think that'd be good for me. Thank you very much. And anybody else who's not got an EV just yet, listen to Kate. This is perfect advice, and just understanding for this. So far, how? And I know you said that some charge point operators aren't quite as they don't quite look after their customers as well as others. But in general, then, what has been the feedback from the charge point operators about what you're doing? Are you getting that kind of obviously you're being recognised in the industry, or else you wouldn't have made the GF 100, would you? Or your kind of your current nomination. But in general, what feedback are you getting from them?
I mean, it's been so varied. It's definitely become much more on board. People are more positive about it now, just over a year into business. But in the very beginning, we actually, I'm not going to say who, because they are quite well known, but somebody said, what makes you think that we can't just go and audit our own charge points? And I said, well, you'd be marking your own homework. Who's going to believe someone that says all our charge points are 5 stars and they're wonderful? I think the beauty of what we've created at ChargeSafe is it's completely independent. So whilst we do have the likes of Osprey and Fastned that work with us, by working with us, what we're saying is they subscribe to their raw data that enables them to identify what their opportunities and challenges are on site, what they can do to improve their score, and champion where they're doing things really well. So that's the benefit that they get, but there's no sponsorship, there's no advertisement, there's no backhanded, can you just give us 5 stars?
It's independent, it's properly independent, isn't it?
Properly independent. So we've got a really thorough 144 point inspection plan that we have to evidence why we have marked someone in the way that we've marked them, and demonstrate that with photos, the inspectors themselves, the training that they receive, and then there's a third party spot check audit that will also happen as an extra measure to previously done inspections, just to ensure that it's been done in the right way. So we're not messing around here. We're saying, we're going to come along and independently check your site. We'll give you our recommendations, and the score will also be published publicly, and that data will be sold on to third-party navigational applications so that they can let their customers know what the ChargeSafe score is. So as we've come along, we've actually got loads of support from the industry, which is amazing. We've really made some inroads with even OEMs wanting to display the score in their in-vehicle tech. I can't say who, but someone is going to be very soon, which is really exciting. You've got the likes of local authorities coming to us and saying, your inspection is cross-referenced with the PAS document. So the PAS document came out as a result of the BSI, British Standards Institute, created a PAS document to address accessibility needs at public chargers. And the reason why they did it as a BSI PAS document was so that they could flip it round within the space of 12 months, whereas to make something legislation, it could take years to pass through. So they've created this document. They've worked with OZEV and Motability, the charity, to understand the needs and wants and what that infrastructure looks like, the various types of scenarios, whether it's a bay park, a parallel park, a drive-through, is it on-street charging, is it rapid chargers, are there bollards, are there impact protection barriers, wheel stops, curbs, what's going on in this environment. And it's seriously thorough. So we actually use that to massively influence every accessibility measure that we have in our inspection criteria, which probably takes up about 80 of those 144 points, and then the rest is attributed to safety measures, things like how visible is the charge point, what's the lighting like, what's the security like, what's the payment method, how maintained are these systems. The PAS criteria has massively helped us to define what an accessible site truly looks like. Myself and my partner are both able-bodied, so not only has this work been really critical to help our understanding of what an accessible site looks like, we've also been working with accessibility ambassadors, the likes of John Brooks, aka Beardy McBeardface on Twitter. He's wonderful. When we're making decisions with regards to accessibility measures in our inspections, he will be someone that we reach out to consult with for his feedback. So we're trying to really consider everything that we need to be including in this. And not only are we collecting data on safety and accessibility, but we're also now looking at commercial vehicle access. Okay. As that becomes a bigger need for fleets moving forward. Is there a height or a width restriction on entry to that charge point? Is a van going to be able to make it in there? Is there a turning circle? Is it a bay park, a parallel park, a drive-through, a charging bay? So all of these things that need to be considered. And then there's electric motorbikes. I don't know if you're much of a biker, Liz.
No, I'm not, love. No, but even so, they still need charging, don't they?
My partner James is a biker. Sarah Sloman also, by the way, recently got her full biker's license. Yeah, she's got one. So there's something that happens with the road surface. If the charge point is surrounded by gravel, it's actually really hard to stand a bike up on a gravelled surface. Oh, so we also look to see if those charge points are compatible or relevant for bike use, because if you can't stand your bike up and leave it attached to the charge point, you're not going to want to visit that charge point.
No.
So
you don't want to be holding it for ages, do you? Or leaning against it. Oh, that'll be really uncomfortable, especially in the rain.
45 minutes doing that, just like propping their bike up. Like, no, thank you. So yeah, there are loads of things that we need to consider, and I can't imagine that we'll stop expanding that list anytime soon. But it's really interesting to hear from drivers what they expect to get from the public charge infrastructure. And I think ultimately, you know, we are the driver's champion, so we're here to provide a voice for their concerns and make sure that a good positive service is being delivered by all relevant parties that make up that package.
You are representing what we call the voice of the customer.
Yeah, we are.
It's perfect. It's just what people need, you know, because when it comes down to it, doesn't matter who's installing it or who's maintaining it. They're probably going to be using it at some point, or maybe not. You know, it's an install and go or whatever. Or they might never ever come back to that charge point. So it's actually making sure that, you know, they might be living at the other side of the country or whatever. Making sure that what they're delivering and installing and maintaining is suitable for people like me and you.
Yeah, and it's just consistency is key. And at the moment, we've got no real ombudsman. We don't have any compliance auditing going on at all, really, across the entire industry. So what we've done here is just trying to create some form of, this is standards, this is what compliance is going to look like, this is best practice right now, is what we can say. But yeah, we're really just at the beginning of our journey.
And that's the phrase, isn't it? Best practice. That's the thing that we should be actually achieving. So at the moment, how many inspectors have you got? How many have you got going out?
So we have just a little over 100 public contributors. So
okay.
The difference being that we have public contributors who are going out and doing a 10-point inspection on the charge points. And what this 10-point inspection involves is how they assess the lighting to be, if there's security cameras, and if the bay sizes are accessible, amongst a couple of other questions. Now from that, we'll determine how urgently we will prioritise a formal inspection being carried out on these charge sites across the UK. We are still a startup and we are actively fundraising for our business right now so that we can grow and scale with the amount of demand that we have within the industry. So I can tell you that we literally have no inspectors with the exception of myself and my partner. So it is me and my partner that are running the business, doing all the business development, pushing the growth of the business, fundraising for investment to pour back into the business, and inspecting the charge points at the same time. But we are hoping that in April we should be hiring at least 3 inspectors, and we are looking to have a team of 40 installed by the end of 2025, who will be keeping up with that rate and growth of charge points across the UK. So I think at the moment it's something like 40,000 charge points on UK roads, and we've done just over 1,000 of those. So we certainly have our work cut out for us, but we're really excited to grow and develop an amazing team of inspectors.
So the people who you've got, the public contributors at the moment, are they people who've signed up to helping you out as volunteers then?
Yeah, so the way that started was they actually signed up to register their interest into becoming a fully fledged inspector.
Okay.
So we then replied to them to say, hey, like, you know, thank you so much for your interest. At the moment, we're not in a position where we can hire and recruit, but we really do need to test these systems. So would you be able to help us by contributing time, literally whenever you're using a public charger, to answering these 10 questions. And the 10 questions takes no time at all. To do the full inspection actually only takes 10 minutes. So that's 144 questions is 10 minutes. So 10 questions is like less than a minute. So we have been incredibly lucky that every single one of them have come back and said, yes, we'd love to help you. We really just want to make an impact on the industry and to be able to support ChargeSafe as a business. So James has created an element of our web portal whereby people can register for an account, they can do the 10-point questionnaire, but they can also gain achievement points by doing certain things at different times of the day. So he's applied gamification features into the web portal. So points equals prizes.
What do points make? Yeah.
So what we're actually doing is engaging with this amazing community that we've created, and incentivizing them to check in with their local community of charge points by awarding them with achievement points and digital titles. So I think like anybody who registered right in the very beginning will have the title of the OG team, which is pretty incredible. So there are only like 50 OGs in the country, and they've got like their own colour and titles. It's pretty cool. And then we ran something over Christmas where we were like, right, the top 3 contributors, we're gonna send you something special. So we sent out hoodies, snapback caps, and I think like a Christmas card or something to our top 3 contributors, and we also invited them to our Christmas lunch. So they came to meet us.
That's nice.
Oh, they're so amazing, honestly. So I will just shout out to Stuart, Jesse and Tom, who have been instrumental in supporting us with beta testing and just giving us all this incredible feedback. You know, and these people who have been supporting us throughout this process are the ones that we'll go to first when we are hiring. They'll be the ones that get first refusal on positions, and they are based all over the UK, which is amazing. So we've almost like pre-qualified our talent pool that we'll go to from these contributors, and they get those warm fuzzy feelings that they've helped us start up right in its very infant stages. So yeah, that's
brilliant.
How things are running at the moment, but we're very grateful, and we recognise that we're in a position where we are surrounded by some just amazing people in the industry.
Absolutely. So okay, so could somebody like myself, when I finally get myself sorted with the EV, could I actually jump on the portal then and kind of apply to? Oh, okay.
You can literally register today if you wanted to. Next time you're at Tesco's and you see like a pod point, for example, you could go over and be like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna.
I will actually. Yeah, definitely, because I do go past them a lot, and I'm kind of a bit like, oh, hello, what's going on here? So yeah, no, that'd be great. So what's the right? So let everybody know what the web address is, will you?
Great. Okay, so you need to go to portal.chargesafe.uk.
Right, okay.
To register for an account. All we ask is that you register your email address. We're not going to spam you with that either. That's not what we're about. I think that's the only piece of information that you need to register with us, is just your email. And then from that, if you want to engage with the gamification features, you're more than welcome to. That will all show up on your dashboard. And at the moment, James is still the only person working on this, and as we grow as a business, we will be hiring developers and graphic designers and all of that jazz, but at the moment it's as good as it's going to get for now. So it's please bear with us, but we're actually quite proud of how far it's come already.
Absolutely. So, it's not a very long length of time really for you to get to where you are now. So just to kind of finish off then, so we've got your portal address. Where are you kind of mostly on? Are you mostly on LinkedIn? What are your kind of tags for everything?
Do you know what? Okay, so I am on LinkedIn. I do get a lot of DMs on LinkedIn, and it can be quite overwhelming, I think, because people see that I'm a CEO, so I get loads of requests from people trying to sell me lead generation, sales ads. I get spammed for sales so much on LinkedIn. So if somebody is watching or listening to this, I'm pretty sure that they're going to be a real life human being, Liz.
They will. Yeah.
The best way to contact me is actually on Twitter. So I would say, please do give me a follow, give me a prompt, tweet me, tag me in it, and I will follow you back, and then my DMs are open to you, basically. My tag on Twitter is @Kate_Tyrell. My surname, because everybody always gets this wrong, is TYRRELL. So @Kate_Tyrell. Give me a follow, give me a prompt. I will follow you back. let's chat in the DMs. Please don't find me on LinkedIn because I'll probably think you're trying to sell me some lead generation software and
Oh
ignore you.
God, did you think that about me? Because I DM'd you on LinkedIn. You probably thought, oh God, who's this weirdo?
Oh, no. So I recognised your name because I've listened to you before. So I was like, right, I know this person. That's fine. Yeah, so I would just say Twitter's definitely the best spot to come and get me.
Brilliant. Well, listen, I'm just excited to see you growing and doing so well, and congratulations on the Green Fleet and the nomination for the other. It's brilliant. It's brilliant to see a growing organisation like yourself and supporting kind of consumers and also charge point operators, local authorities, everybody out there. I think there's a lot of people that are in the sector that are doing so many things for the right reasons, and it's fantastic. It is a really, really good, honest, transparent. It's just full of integrity. So thank you.
Definitely tell who the good guys are, can't you? Because they are the ones that are really open and honest and just warm and inviting. And I mean, what I've actually got here, Liz, is something that I did want to just go through. I've got the top 5 networks. Top 5 for overall safety and accessibility. In the top spot is Electric Highway from GridServe, who have scored very nicely across safety and accessibility. And the Electric Highway actually comes in the top 3 for safety, accessibility, and overall score out of 5 stars. So well done to GridServe for the Electric Highway.
Well done, GridServe.
Ionity also consistently are in the joint first or second spot for safety, accessibility, and overall. So Ionity, well done, you're doing something really well there. And also what I will say is with the instruction stuff, Ionity machines are actually pretty good for that. I believe that they have a QR code, something that takes you through, and it's not too hard to understand how to use them, and they're always beautifully lit and very, very visible. So Ionity is doing a great job.
What we need, isn't it?
It is. And Osprey are also in the top 5. They're actually in the top 3. So Osprey are the first ChargePoint network operator to work with us at ChargeSafe. They've definitely taken so much of our advice on board. It's a pleasure to work with them, and they are definitely one of the good guys, so they consistently come up in the top 5. The top 3 for overall safety and joint second for accessibility, so that's amazing. And then we've got FastNet, InstaVolt, and EasyCharge that are all within those top 3 overall, top 5 overall, top 5 safety, top 5 accessibility. So you can really tell from that list who's really truly committed to their customer experience. So that's brilliant.
That's fabulous, and congratulations to everybody for kind of making that effort for people. It's brilliant. Yeah. So and onwards and upwards for everybody.
Yeah,
we've still got a long way to go, haven't we? But I think it's a good place to start from.
It is, absolutely. And Liz, it's been a pleasure speaking to you too. Thank you so much for inviting me on. Are you going to be at Fully Charged?
I am going to be at Fully Charged.
Yes. So I'm also at Fully Charged. I'm speaking on the Saturday in the Giga Theatre. So again, if anybody wants to track me down, that is where I will be. Please don't hesitate to come over and say hi, because it's really nice to meet people face to face too.
And that is Fully Charged down in Farnborough.
Yeah, and I'm also at Fully Charged North, and I am speaking there, I believe, on the Sunday, again in the Giga Theatre.
Fabulous. Well, listen, Kate, it's been an absolute joy talking to you. I really, really appreciate your time. I will bring you back on again, and we will see how things are moving and how many more you've managed to get to. And I will try, I will put the contacts, your contact details in the show notes, and make sure that if people want to register to help, then they can do that, because I think that's absolutely an amazing idea. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you very much, Kate, and I'm going to say goodbye to everybody else. So see you later. Bye.
You've been watching Electric Evolution with Liz Allan. Don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon and you'll receive all of our weekly videos. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.